Hey friendos, welcome back to the Four Lights Podcast. I am Steve here, and as always, I am joined by my co-host, Big Jeff. How are you doing?
Good, man. How you doing?
Oh, me too, man. I'm doing great.
Great.
I'm doing really good.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about an ode to film noir today.
Yeah.
The Big Goodbye.
The Big Goodbye.
This is a fun episode.
Very fun.
Of The Next Generation. Although
kind of the first one that really explore the possibilities of the holodeck.
Yes. Yeah. And exactly why they keep on using the holodeck.
Yeah.
After this one, and then in an episode we're going to talk about a couple weeks from now.
Yeah.
110010.
That sounds right.
Yeah, something like that. Really illustrates why they really should kind of get rid of the holodeck.
Yeah.
Actually, there's 3 episodes. There's
a couple episodes where the holodeck goes wrong. The holodeck to TNG is kind of like what the transporter system is to the original show.
Yeah.
Like it routinely malfunctions.
Yeah.
Except they keep using it.
Except the transporter is necessary. Like they need that. That's something they kind of need.
No, it's very necessary.
The holodeck really don't need.
Well, I mean, as a training tool, it can serve a vital purpose, but largely what they do in Next Generation is just use it as a recreation.
Do they ever actually show it being used for training, though?
They do initially.
Do they?
Initially, they had a couple of episodes ago in the first season. The first one
that
they
judo
showed is
throw
like,
one.
Tasha Yar doing like a weird judo thing against the naked holodeck grid backdrop.
Yeah.
And there's sometimes when like Worf is in there and he's doing like he's training with his batleth and random slurred like I guess Parisi Squares is sort of a training exercise. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a game, but it definitely teaches reflexes and such.
Parisi Squares is like apparently a really dangerous. Do we ever get to see Parisi Squares?
Yeah, they show.
Do they show
doing it once in a while, right?
Oh, okay,
I think so.
I don't remember. Anyways, this is the Big Goodbye. We open up with Riker's log for once.
Yep.
So it's his voiceover. They're making contact with the Harada. An insect-type people who we never see.
Never see them. Never on screen in this episode.
We do hear their voice, but we don't see them. And their thing is they're trying to make contact with them. Every time, historically in the past, that somebody in Starfleet, some ship, has tried to make contact with them, whoever's making contact cannot properly pronounce like the words of their sort of big greeting.
Yeah.
And that always ends in disaster.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's even too gruesome for anybody, for like Captain Picard to want to see, because later on they say, hey, we have some footage of what it looks like when things go wrong with the Harada. Do you want to see? And Picard says, I don't need to see that. Why are you trying to show me that?
Yeah. So I think Picard's under a lot of pressure, and he doesn't need the added pressure.
This is like, it's kind of akin, like the only thing I can really describe it, it's sort of like a big oral Spanish class or foreign language class.
Yeah, it's a big oral test.
Yeah. So
with a lot of diplomatic heavy, pressure added. So
Troy is with Picard in the ready room.
Doing some language coaching with him.
Yeah, and it's all sorts of crazy stuff. He's like, okay, so if there's 3 lines, then that N is pronounced this way. If there's 2 lines and a dot, the H is pronounced this way. So it's a very complicated thing that he's trying to get right.
Yep.
Talk about like useful sort of or productive uses of the holodeck. I kind of feel like they could have patched in the PR system to the holodeck, like the comm system to the holodeck, and just like generated a computer program of the bridge and had Picard do the thing perfectly there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they could have gone around this somehow.
Sure.
They could have been like, here's a holo version of Picard.
Because the computer knows the language and can repeat it without fail.
Another thing they could have done, downloaded a teleprompter app and just had the teleprompter run on the view screen.
Well, also, Picard doesn't literally need to learn the language.
Yeah.
He can just listen to a recording of a Harada doing it and then just repeat it over and over again until he nails it and then do that.
Yeah, there's a million ways they could have got around this without being... I feel like he's sticking to the letter of...
It's just making it way too difficult.
He really is. So anyways, meanwhile... they have somebody has upgraded the holodeck.
Yep.
And instead of focusing all his attention, Troy suggests, she says, look, you've been putting a lot of pressure on yourself with all this stuff. You should take some time off and go to the holodeck.
Yeah.
Picard chooses not just like, oh, hey, let me go relax at like a holodeck beach or let's go to like a holodeck orgy of some sort and really release some pressure. He decides to choose a very complicated, very in-depth holonovel based on an old noir novel called The Big Goodbye.
Big Goodbye, starring the detective Dixon Hill.
Right, and he's going to be Dixon Hill.
Yeah.
He opens up holodeck. It's kind of funny how fascinated they are with the holodeck, like the writers are with the holodeck in these early episodes, because, I mean, besides that one episode where they go to like Deadwood, like later on, like in season 5, they lose the fascination with the details, like sort of how well the holodeck can replicate periods, and how fascinating it is. They kind of it loses its gimmick pretty early. Like after this first season, you know, they use the holodeck for various things, but they really stop marveling about how great it is.
Yeah.
I think maybe after that 11001, like they completely realize that, oh my God, every time we step foot in this thing, something goes wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why it loses its luster. I don't know.
Yeah.
But in any event, he goes into he loads up the program. It's San Francisco, 1941. And it opens up, the doors open, and he goes into like this old school detective's office.
Yeah.
The same kind of thing you'd see from like a film noir from like the 1940s. He goes in there. The secretary immediately sort of scolds him for his uniform. She says, "You look like a bellhop.
You look like a bellhop, yeah.
What are you wearing?" And he is immediately taken by the entire thing. It's like, wow, this is freaking amazing.
She's also like, "Oh, you're ready for Halloween with that?" And he's like, "What's Halloween?"
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So anyways, he goes into his office and he meets his new client, or his prospective client, a really leggy broad, to use the parlance of the time. You can't really say that these days.
No.
You can't say it. But back then, broad was the term to use.
Yeah.
He said, "Hey, you're one leggy broad."
Mrs. Jessica Bradley.
Yes. And she's saying somebody's going to try to kill her. Somebody wants to kill her. And it's Cyrus Redblock. Nefarious gangster type, apparently. After that, Picard leaves. He's like, okay, well, this is all great, cool setup. I got to go change into some like period clothes and also study for my oral exam later. So he leaves the holodeck. Right as he's leaving, right after he's left, the program's still running for a little bit, and a dude named Leach, we don't know his name until later, he comes in, and he's like, "Mr. Hill, are you here?" He's obviously, the casting in this episode is actually really good.
Great.
He is inspired by the Peter Lorre character from many movies back then.
Mostly Maltese Falcon, but yeah. Definitely just a solid Peter Lorre affect that the guy's doing.
Yeah, and he kind of looks weird, sort of buggy-eyed like Peter Lorre.
Yeah, bug-eye,
yeah. So yeah, he comes in, so that sort of pretends some danger to happen later on. Let's see here. After that, we cut to Picard, who's supposed to be doing like a briefing about the first contact with the insect people.
The Harada.
But he can't help but be super giddy over the holodeck. Yeah. And he is childlike.
Oh, he's super stoked. I mean, they're in the conference room. He's with his bridge crew, like his main officers. And he is going on extensively with the detail that's in this holodeck program. Yeah. Which is kind of unprofessional, to be honest. It's like akin to me going into the office on Tuesday and being like, "You guys, I was playing the new Red Dead Redemption all weekend. Yeah. Oh, it's so real. Yeah. Yeah, I got to tell you about all these hookers I killed." Right. I mean, granted, Picard doesn't say that because he doesn't kill any hookers. Yeah. But, Yet. That's probably more of a Riker thing.
And it's kind of like, given where Picard ends up in terms of being, in terms of his character later on, it's kind of just like super out of character.
Yeah, a bit, yeah.
Like, you would think that he would loosen up as time goes on, but no, he was kind of super loosey-goosey in this, like, in just a couple episodes, though. Yeah. Because here's the thing about Picard is that he really values his private time. Like, he's a private guy. Yeah. And so for him to be sort of, outspoken about anything is kind of out of character. But they're still finding him. So in any event, the rest of the crew is really sort of tickled by Picard being tickled by this holodeck program. And especially Riker, he's like, "Oh, man, Picard's really into this. I need to check out that holodeck."
Riker's super into it. He's like leaned back. He's kind of an unprofessional. I feel like he might have actually put his feet on the table. If he didn't, he looked like he wanted.
It looked like, spiritually he had his feet up on the table for sure. In any event, he's like, "Okay, anyways, let's get back to the briefing about the Haradan." And they basically, that's where they illustrate how imperative it is he gets this greeting down correctly. If he makes one single mistake, they are screwed. So anyways, then Data sort of says, no, I really want to know this Dixon Hill stuff. He starts asking the computer all about the Big Goodbye novel and that series of novels. Fun little Easter egg, the actual writer of this episode and a writer of a great number of Next Generation episodes, and I believe Generations, Tracy Torme.
Yeah, no, I confirmed he did not.
Oh,
write.
he did.
He didn't write.
He
did not write any of the movies. No.
Oh, it was Harvey Bennett, I think, wrote
Maybe?
Generations.
Yeah, I think it was mostly Berman and the.
Oh, was it?
Guys. Yeah.
Okay.
Although interesting fun fact about Tracy Torme, he's the son of legendary jazz singer Mel Torme.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. Oh, wow.
But yeah, he wrote this, and Michael Okuda, the production designer, on the screen as Data learns and reads Dixon Hill fiction, short fiction, and also the novel from the 40s. It says like Dixon Hill, the Big Goodbye, written by Tracy Torme, which is just a fun thing.
Yeah,
because the writer of the episode gets inserted into the episode as the writer of the short fiction that Data is reading and learning about the character of Dixon Hill. So.
I was completely wrong. He had nothing to do with. You're right. It was Ronald D. Moore, Brandon Braga, and Rick Berman. Yeah,
Rick Berman. Yeah.
Well done. Anyways, moving on. They also indicate that I think Picard brings up, or maybe Data brings up, Wayland, the local Earth 20th century historian.
Yeah, there's a guy on board who's. I don't know why they would have a 20th century historian on staff. It might be a recreational thing.
Hey, I'm assuming he's just a nerd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that makes sense. Like, he has an official position on board, maybe some sort of science officer, but as outside of that, he's a 20th century historian.
Yeah.
/ possible fiction expert, because he gets referred to that also later on. So. He's probably like just a well-studied individual of 20th century history and fiction.
Yeah, he's just a dude. He seems like a really...
He seems like a nice guy, yeah.
Yeah, he's like super charismatic.
Yeah.
Not just one of those, like, just sort of a nice dude.
Yeah.
Who probably transferred the hell off the ship after the events of this episode.
Yeah,
because we never see Wayland again.
If he survived.
Yeah, we never get confirmation on that.
It's kind of grim, actually. I think... we'll get to it, but I'm assuming that he made it out alive. But yeah. And if he did, he probably just got the hell off the ship at that point.
Yeah, probably. He's like, I want a holodeck class ship.
Never went onto a holodeck ever again.
Back on the bridge, the ship is being probed by the Harada with like a long-range signal thing. I'm sorry, I skipped a bit. After that, Picard, Data, and Wayland all hop into the time. They all go into the holodeck. The production design is fantastic.
It's great. They off the holodeck get into period garb. And then go back onto the holodeck program.
Data has studied all sorts of...
He read every Dixon Hill story ever.
So he shows up like already with sort of your typical noir accent. Hey, doll, that kind of stuff.
Doing that kind of stuff, which is fun.
Yeah, that's cool. Let's see here. They go into the in 1940 into the simulation. They go and see there's like a local newspaper guy. Who's played by, what's his name?
Dick Miller.
Yeah.
Legendary character actor Dick Miller, who has been in a million different things. If you're a child of the 80s, you definitely saw him in stuff like Gremlins and things like that.
He was also
But he was also big. He was a big Roger Corman guy. He used to be in Corman movies way back in the 60s and stuff. So.
He was also in other episodes of Star Trek.
Probably.
I can't remember off the top of my head, but I know I've seen him in other sort of episodes. In any event, and like in a million different things.
Yeah.
So anyways, Picard starts reading the paper, and it's a fun little trip down sort of, current affairs, 1940s.
Circa late
like,
40s.
Yeah, like the headline is just like Hitler makes a move or something like that.
He mispronounces Joe DiMaggio's name. He says DiMaggio.
Yeah.
Which is fun. I think either Wayland or... No, I think it's Data corrects him.
Data corrects him.
Which is weird.
Yeah, and mentions... it's funny because they do a little bit of speculation about how... I think DiMaggio was on the Yankees? They went like on a 26... they went like on a really long win streak. Larson would know. He's a baseball guy. But anyways, they went on a really long win streak and then said, but that streak was... ruined. He says that streak was ruined, was stopped by the Cleveland Indians at 17 games or something like that. in any event, the newspaper guy kind of clowns Data.
Dick Miller's like, Indians don't have anybody on their squad that's going to stop the Yankees.
And then the Yankees, Data then says the Yankees, that record stands until the year 2026.
Well, no, I think that actually Data says that DiMaggio's hitting streak stands until 2026.
Okay.
And is stopped by somebody on the London Knights.
Yeah.
The London Knights.
Which that team is brought up again in Deep Space Nine.
That specific end of DiMaggio's hitting streak is brought up in Deep Space Nine.
Oh, okay.
I looked it up, and they reaffirm that in 2029. London Knights break DiMaggio's hitting streak, and they named a player in Deep Space Nine as Harmon Buckeye.
Oh, yeah. And he shows up in like a holodeck program there,
which I think is fun. I think I always love, one of my favorite character aspects of Cisco in Deep Space Nine is his just unabashed love of baseball.
Oh, it's great.
It's really wonderful.
Yeah,
it just makes me happy.
He's one of my favorite characters.
Oh, he's the best.
Yeah, that streak still stands. So getting back to it, Picard also reads in the paper, I believe that Jessica girl dies.
Yep.
She gets killed, so her suspicions were correct. Somebody was trying to kill her, and they succeeded. Then they're approached by two cops, one of which is a bit rougher than the other. They interrogate Dixon a little bit there on the street.
Very, very straightforward, like just the cleanest example of good cop, bad cop.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, totally. One guy has police brutality written all over him.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. So anyways, they're investigating the murder, and they say, you got to come down with us to the station. You got to come downtown with us. And Picard seems pretty tickled by that.
Yeah.
Earlier, Picard had actually invited Crusher to come hang out on the thing.
Correct.
Back on the bridge, though, the ship is still being probed by the Harada, which messes with the ship's systems, including, obviously, the holodeck. Like, they do sort of a shot of the holodeck sort of computer panel, and it goes, it gets all messed up. So we know something bad's about to happen. Riker is then hailed by the Harada. They're kind of assholes to Riker. Riker then sends Geordi to the holodeck because they can't reach the captain. Crusher then is all dolled up in 1940s attire.
Yeah.
She tries to enter the holodeck. The doors act all super wonky.
All screwed up,
Yeah. But she makes it in. They're in a police station. Data, you notice this. Data uses contractions verbally while in character
as a character in a Dixon Hill novel, and has probably, presumably, he doesn't get into the specifics, but presumably wrote himself a sub-program of this character, and then allowed himself to use contractions within the character as part of the period dialect.
Right. So that's cool.
It's a fun little bit.
It is.
The comedy in this episode is actually really fun. And it's fun to see Picard, or Stewart and Spiner and Gates McFadden be in those characters and allow themselves to do comedy.
There's a lot
enjoyable.
There's a lot of sort of mini interactions that are a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And demonstrates their like palpable chemistry, like, in great degree. Geordi then so in the interrogation room, that's right. Crusher is super geeked out to be there. She's sort of mimicking this probably 1940s prostitute.
Seems like a prostitute that's in the police station.
Yeah. So she's trying to mimic, like, where her skirt leg is. It's really cute.
Yeah.
She's just trying to get into the spirit of things. Picard, meanwhile, is being interrogated by the cops. Like you said, it's typical good cop, bad cop.
Very straightforward.
In the interrogation room, Picard can't help but break character. He's like, this is all marvelous. You two are doing wonderful jobs as holodeck characters.
Yeah, it's great.
Geordi, meanwhile, cannot get in the holodeck. Nothing is working, and Riker immediately looks panicked. He's like, when tasked with his duty of taking control of a situation, he seems a bit ill-fit by his general demeanor. He's
kind
like,
of horrified at the prospect of him being in charge.
What's funny is that when you sort of look at that side by side against Data, when he has to take control immediately in the episode, the 100111, when like the ship is on the verge of like basically blowing up because antimatter's about to spill out, Data is remarkably adept at being at taking over.
Sure.
He like acts immediately with decisiveness.
Decisiveness,
exactly. and it's amazing. Riker, on the other hand, when like just his general body language is like, oh dear, oh god.
Well, right. I don't think Data is possessed of any kind of self-doubt, you know, because he doesn't really have any emotion.
Right. And the situation is
But he also doesn't really have confidence. Like he doesn't.
Yeah.
It's just pure logic.
The situation with Riker is it's unique because it's like, crap, I did not study for this greeting that we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
So it is, I mean, it's a very unique situation for him, but still, he looks kind of panicked. Riker then has Yar take over. Riker takes Wes with him to the holodeck, simply because the only reason Wes is going is because his mom's down there and he's worried. Back in the interrogation room, Picard indicates, he's like, it's kind of time for me to go. Bad cop is about to leave. Meanwhile, we see Crusher getting hit on by one of the policemen there. Another character actor that I've seen in a bunch of places, but I don't know his name. But it's a cute little moment. He gives her, this was great, he gives her a piece of gum that she starts chewing on, and he's trying to hit on her, and she's trying to figure out the gum, and then she swallows it with a really great comedic. And this is the funny thing about Gates McFadden, the actress, when she auditioned for the role, they had her audition for the drunken bit they did in like the second episode.
Oh yeah, the Naked Now.
And because she really, really loved it because she thought there would be more opportunities for comedy, because that's what her sort of specialty was.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of funny that like, especially in this first season, in the first like dozen episodes, there's a lot of nagging Crusher.
Yeah.
And it's so ill-suited for maybe her strengths.
It frustrates me too. I think I said this to you when we were watching one of the episodes, like the Crusher, the concerned mom Crusher is the worst.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah,
it makes the Wesley character worse. It's like, and it's not that she was bad at performing it. It's just an annoying. It's so naggy, and it's just like, oh,
it really and it doesn't.
You are a starship officer, and this is like you need to be paying attention to your duties. I mean, yeah, you should be worried about your kid, but like dial it back, you know?
Yeah, and it does a disservice to the actress, I feel too, because she obviously has a lot of strengths that are more sort of evident.
Gates McFadden is an incredibly talented person.
Yeah, she really is.
She's really good at comedy. She's really good at drama. She's also an excellent trained dancer, and you see her dance throughout the show sometimes. But she is like super. Like she did the choreography for the movie Labyrinth.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's interesting. So, anyways, let's see here. Then Wesley is shown taking over the holodeck controls. He hops right into it. Geordi's like, he's guiding him, but Wes is like, obviously wunderkind. You know, he's just taking over.
Yeah, he's like doing like really close examination of the circuitry of the holodeck.
Yeah, it's like, wow, you're 15 years old, dude.
Yeah.
Picard back in the interrogation box. They're about to cut him loose. The bad cop leaves. The good cop obviously had like some sort of relationship with Dixon Hill, because he like invites him over for dinner like on Sunday, and then he gives him a cigarette, which Picard then tries to take a toke off.
He takes that puff and he's
pretty
like,
funny.
Oh!
Yeah, he's like
spits it out and stomps on it. Yeah.
Let's see here. Then he goes out there, sort of lobby area of the police station, and sees Crusher in her 1940s gear, and he immediately is turned on. Like they do this like sort of close up with like both. It's like sort of a two shot. They're like in profile talking to each other. And there's obviously like, man, we want to get it on like right now.
Yeah,
like,
it's like
to be turned on by the
crazy electricity between those two characters right now. And you can see Waylon and Data in the background, sort of.
Like,
and it's actually a pretty cool shot because it really accentuates how intense and sort of inappropriate their shared gaze is, to see their coworkers behind them being like, what is this?
But then they don't take the hint. Because, like, they're about to go into his... Like, it's fairly obvious what's going to happen. Because he's like, do you want to go see my office?
Yeah.
Like, in private? And it's like, oh, man, they're totally going to do something. But then, like, Waylon and Data just invite themselves. And, like, Picard and Crusher are both like, cock blocked.
Yeah.
What the hell? So, anyways, that was kind of interesting. Let's see here. Then they get to the office, but they're, instead of, any shenanigans, they're taken hostage, basically, by Leach, the Peter Lorre type guy. He says Dixon has been hired to locate an object. Where is it? Leach then sort of makes the gravity of the situation known by shooting Waylon in the gut.
Yeah.
Poor Waylon, just the nice guy who really loves, like, period stuff. Period pieces. He gets shot in the gut.
Shot in the gut. Everybody, like, the other three characters, Data, Crusher and Picard are all like, "Oh, this is great." I think the Crusher actually claps, like, or they do like a golf clap.
Yeah,
like, that's golf fun.
Clap. Yeah.
Oh, he's got a gun. He shot somebody. And that's Wayland, adorable.
Wayland, he sold it too.
I think it's like they're also like, "Oh, Wayland really sold that," because the way that the holodeck is set up, there should be, and every one of the 4 crew members that are in that program understand that there are safeguards where nothing that's on the holodeck can do any kind of serious damage to you.
Right.
So you can do some like hand-to-hand combat maybe, and there'll be like a force field or something that is created that interacts with you, but it's not going to like bust your jaw. And maybe somebody's going to pull out a knife in the course of the holodeck program that you're on, and they'll go to stab you, but in no way will the holodeck allow a blade to enter your flesh. Like it'll look like it, but it's not going to materialize a blade that'll go into your flesh and cut any of your organs or cut your flesh at all or anything like that. Because there's safeguards, and they don't want any of the people that are there to suffer any harm.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we're never really like exposed to the science of it all, but I mean, it's all, it's a holodeck.
Yeah.
Things can either phase through you or they can be solid, and you got to figure the computer is all well equipped to make sure that none of that stuff happens, even though like it seems to happen all the time. So anyways, then of course he goes like,
he's got a lot of blood
everywhere. And like,
he's like, and he's like, they're not real. Like he's shocked. And he's shot in the gut, which is not good.
Yeah.
And he's also like, what is happening? Because he's like, there's safeguards. There should be safeguards. This doesn't make any sense.
That's not supposed to happen.
So it's a real bad, like it's a bad scene for poor Wayland, who again seems like a really cool guy. Like I'd totally hang out with that dude.
Yeah. Oh no, he seems totally cool, but he's probably quit Starfleet after that.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Back on the Enterprise, Riker asks for an update from Geordi because they're running out of time. Back in the Dixon Hill office, we meet Cyrus Redblock, played by classic gangster actor Lawrence Tierney.
Yeah.
Maybe some of you out there might know him best as being from Reservoir Dogs. What was his name in Reservoir Dogs? It's on the tip of my tongue.
Well, now I gotta look it up.
You got to look it up now.
Well, Lawrence Tierney acted for decades.
Yeah.
I mean, he's an authentic person who was around in the 40s and 50s when these types of movies were actually getting made.
Yeah.
So to have him in this sequence on this episode lends such an authenticity to it.
Yeah, the casting for this episode, like top to bottom, is really good.
Yeah. Oh yeah, look at this. This is all sorts of
good timing.
Show. Oh yeah, he was in Born to Kill, 1947. Yeah, he had a full name. His name was Joe Cabot.
Oh, Joe Cabot in Reservoir Dogs? Mm-hmm. Okay.
You can do a clap.
So we just looked it up. His name was Joe Cabot in Reservoir
Joe
Dogs.
Cabot in Reservoir Dogs. Joe. That's probably his most famous performance from later in life. But like I said, he's been around for just decades. He was in a very famous film noir called Born to Kill back in 1947. So right around the period that this holodeck program is taking place. Lawrence Tierney was in a film noir. So,
and you said his character in this, the Cyrus Redblock character, was based
much like the
off
Peter Greenstreet character from Maltese Falcon.
Right? Yeah, which is obviously a classic film noir.
Yeah.
So, anyways, and he's great, man. He can literally, this dude. And granted, the dialogue was written to sort of mimic that sort of film noir style.
Yeah.
But, Lawrence Tierney is one of those guys who you can give him any line of dialogue and he can kill. Like, it's just anything that comes out of his mouth.
Yeah.
Has so much gravitas behind it.
Totally.
And it's fantastic. So anyways, they're looking for whatever this item is that Dixon Hill was hired to obtain. Leach pistol whips Picard, who, completely freaking, like, besides getting bloodied, like, no sells it. Like, you get pistol whip, you're going to the ground. Picard doesn't. He just sprang back, and he had, like, some blood coming down his lip. So that was cool. The good cop shows up from earlier, but he gets taken as hostage. Data then sort of stands up to Redblock. Picard tries to explain the situation. You made a point here of saying that, in reality, Data, as he shows kind of later on, Data probably could have just instantly taken care of the situation.
So, yeah, I mean, presumably the holodeck, even though the safeguards are somehow turned off by this sensor probe, has still created these characters to be essentially just humans.
Yeah.
And I think that, I mean, the fact that that Leach's character pistol whips Picard, and Leach doesn't seem like that strong of a guy. Maybe, I mean, partially it's probably Picard not selling it, but Picard's a very fit dude.
Yeah, sure.
And I think of a shitty mousy, like, sidekick pistol whips Picard, he could probably take it more than some.
Yeah.
So because of that, Data has very, like, I mean, superhuman strength and speed. He could very easily just disarm all these guys.
Yeah.
And be like, all right, they're not a threat to us anymore.
Because at this point, they don't have any gun. I mean, they've got guns trained on them, but like, Data could have figured all that out. Like he's like a supercomputer brain guy.
Yeah.
So he probably could have figured out, okay, well, if I do this, the trajectory of the bullets aren't gonna.
Sure.
But I mean, regardless, that would have killed the episode. That wouldn't have been any fun.
Yeah.
So anyways, Picard tries to explain the situation that they're in. You know what? This is a simulation. We're in a computer, we're in space. You aren't real. Obviously, none of the characters are buying that one. They're like, yeah, we're not buying that. Leach just wants to kill them all. Picard insists they don't have the item that they're looking for. Leach is then ordered to kill Crusher because he really wants to kill somebody. And then Cyrus says, you know what? You go ahead and kill the woman.
Kill the woman.
Kill the woman. Yeah. Your name is Mr. Blue. So anyways, before Leach has an opportunity to kill Crusher, Picard sort of acquiesces and decides to sort of try to manipulate the situation. Says, we actually do have the item. I will help you if you help us try to save Waylon here, who is quickly losing a pulse.
A lot of blood.
Yeah, a lot of blood.
Pressure's like, I can't feel it.
His pulse is disappearing.
Faltering. Yeah. It's no good.
Riker ends up back on the bridge. Riker hails the Haradan. He approaches this in like the worst way possible. He says, I demand you, and then they just like shoot something back at him that like shakes up the ship and like, it freaks him out, and they just cut it off. They're like, you're not demanding anything, dude.
Yeah.
Like, it's on you guys.
The Haradans are already kind of insulted that like they're talking to Riker. They're like, where's Picard?
Yeah.
You're just the second in command.
Yeah.
We show us respect. We should be talking to your captain.
Right. So
it
exactly.
kind of seemed like dicks.
Oh yeah, they're jerks.
It's the worst race of insect people.
Starfleet has to do business with a ton of just shit-heel races.
Terrible alien races all the time.
You would think that Starfleet would, command some fear in the hearts of some of these races, but evidently not.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, oh, what are you and your marvelous giant starship going to do to me? At some point, they just need to make an example of some, just alien species and be like, oh, what are we going to do? All right, get us out of here, and then just, completely vaporize our atmosphere.
Sure.
And then that word will spread across the quadrant. Oh, shit, they're not taking shit from anybody.
Yeah.
Then they can just go start taxing alien planets for no reason. They don't need money, but just to prove a point.
Yeah.
You want to do business with us, we're going to start taxing you. Otherwise, we're going to burn your atmosphere.
Yeah. Just make an example of these Haradans. Just do it. They seem like assholes. What do they have that we need? What does Starfleet need from these guys?
Aggravation.
Maybe we should just dump a bunch of giant cans of Raid on their planet. Take that,
no.
bug people.
Anyways, Riker. They like take command of one of the Haradan and they just start picking their legs off. Like he's like a little kid. They put a giant magnifying glass over their planet. Start burning them. Anyways. Wes says, hey, I figured out possibly a solution, but it could also vanish everybody in the holodeck, including the living matter. So it's, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. Riker's
it doesn't seem like a solution to me either.
No.
It's not.
Far too risky.
Yeah.
You're talking about killing...
It's the captain.
The only android they know of in the galaxy.
Yeah.
Data is a prized possession. The Captain Picard, the captain of the friggin' star, and then, of course, a couple real, normal people, too. So anyways, Wes says, you know what? It could work. It might kill everybody. Riker says, just do it. Just do something. So Wes, he does whatever he does. And all of a sudden, this is a cool little moment. The holodeck, we see everybody in the holodeck. They're still talking. And then all of a sudden, those same people are in a snowstorm. The holodeck just changes into like a blizzard. And then it changes back. And they're like, whoa, what was that? And then the holodeck exit appears. Wes saved the day. Good job. Red Block then gets curious, wants to go through the exit. Him and Mr. Leach. Picard's like, go ahead. And I think Data's
like, it's not going to end well for you, but
it's not going to go
give
good.
it a shot.
Man.
Yeah.
They go out there. Somehow the mechanics of the holodeck allow Red Block and Leech to leave the holodeck, and after they're out by about 3 feet or so,
they stand in the hallway for a second. They have a short exchange of dialogue.
Yeah. Red Block says, "Wow, a whole new world," and then Leech starts talking, and they're like, "Oh, what's happening?" And very slowly, their holo projections start to like disintegrate. Yeah. And it's a comedic moment, but it's also kind of a weird, grim one. Because number one, I would have figured once you're past the plane of the holodeck, you're disappearing. But evidently in this case, I think we see that down the line with somebody else, but I could be completely wrong.
There's a Sherlock Holmes program that actually they actually get off, don't they?
Yeah,
Moriarty actually gets off, right?
In the episode, so that was a holodeck that he had created. That was like a holodeck version of the Enterprise that he created to do that.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
But I feel like there's another variation on somebody leaving the holodeck later on, and I forget what it is. In any event, let's see here. Yeah, so then Data punches out the remaining thug, and then to demonstrate his strength, he closes the gun shaft, I think it's called.
He pinches the muzzle of the pistol that the guy had.
And then he knocks that dude out.
He knocks that guy out. They spend a lot of time dealing with these stupid holodeck characters after the door is open.
There's a lot of hemming and hawing.
Yeah, Wayland's just been laying on the ground, bleeding.
Yeah.
And also, like I said to you, why don't they just at that point emergency transport him directly to sickbay?
So there's
he's shot in the stomach. He's been bleeding for a while.
There's a couple lapses in judgment here. Number one, they totally could have just transported him to holodeck. Number two, if you're gut shot, you probably don't want to be moving around the victim of that shot, and he just has Data like pick him up.
Just pick him up like a toddler and sleep in the back of a car. You know, like, what a fun day we had at the zoo. Get the kid out and put him into bed. You know?
And then it's like, for as strong as Data is, it's still just Brent Spiner. And so when you see him walk out, it's like a snail's pace.
Yeah.
Like this dude is like just losing blood. And then when you're messing with it's not good. We assume he survived.
But they don't say specifically, but yeah.
We can kind of assume that. At that
Presumably
point,
he was all right.
We're back on the bridge. Picard
is still in his Dixon Hill outfit, which is fun.
Yeah, he walks in still in his outfit, and like LeBron James, clutch. They open up the channel.
Just nails it. It's like that's the bug language.
Yeah,
which sounds ridiculous, but they get a couple shots of Troy, the Anacertis, behind him, who was his language coach.
Yeah,
and she's like sort of mouthing it, like she presumably knows it better than he does, and she's like nodding, like silently, like okay, he's doing great.
Okay,
he's got it. Everybody else has a look on their face, like we as audience members do. Is like, I don't know what the hell he's saying right now, but I guess he's doing all right.
And I could be completely wrong, but a part of me thought that Patrick Stewart was about to crack up during that scene.
Probably. It's ridiculous.
Because it's so ridiculous.
There's no way that was a real language. Like,
no, not at all. In any event, let's see here. Forgot to mention that. So after Data leaves with Wayland off the holodeck, Picard has one last moment with the good cop, who seems to be self-aware all of a sudden. He says, "When you leave here, am I going to disappear? Am I going to get to go home and have dinner with my wife and son?"
Yeah.
Which I'm like, what? He's a computer program. Why is he doling out these existential questions?
So the holodeck also should not be self-aware. The characters,
that happens all the time, though.
The Red Block and Leech characters interact with the bridge crew to an extent about our crew's extent. About their assertions that they're not real, that it's all fake.
Yeah.
And they recognize it, but they don't validate it in any way. They're always like, that's ridiculous. Like, you're trying to talk your way out of it. It doesn't make any sense. When they see the door open, I think that's a different thing where they all sort of recognize, oh, wait a second, that was real. So I think that it's the cop's recognition of the door and the fact that the guys that he thought were really heavy villains walk out and he sees them disintegrate because they're just outside the hallway right in front of the door. So that holodeck character sees them disintegrate.
Yeah.
So, that's atypical of a holodeck program.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I doubt they gave too much thought about it.
Probably not.
But, you know, like, I love the way Westworld sort of deals with that aspect of things, and that they just say, I have no knowledge of that.
Yeah.
Whenever they bring up something that's outside of the fantasy of Westworld, I have no knowledge of that. And I thought that was a very effective, cold and kind of creepy way to deal with that, but it makes sense, you know? It's like we're not equipped to do that.
Sure. I mean, Westworld is essentially a show all about the holodeck.
Yeah, exactly.
So they went into it knowing that they needed to have that set in stone.
Right, yeah. And they do, I think they do a really good job. Have you started watching season 2?
Not season 2, no.
Me neither. I really like season 1, though. I've heard some really interesting things.
I've heard varying things about season 2. I've heard a lot of people say it's just very confusing.
Yeah. So I'm kind of curious to get into it. Let's see here. And Picard doesn't really give him any comfort about his wife and kids. He says, I honestly don't know. He could have just lied and said, everything will be great.
Yeah.
And then left. Because, like, this is supposed to be his friend in character.
Yeah.
But instead he said, I honestly don't know. And he leaves, and the scene goes black.
Yeah. To an extent, throughout the course of the show, they do kind of develop the holodeck as a character.
Yeah, a little bit,
as like...
Literally, like in
its
season 7.
Self-awareness and it's, like... recognition of existentialism does develop over time.
Yeah. So anyways, at that point, Picard goes to the bridge, nails the greeting like we already talked about. The crew then, after he's done, they give him a standing ovation. Data cracks wise about the whole thing. He's still in character. Yeah. Picard tells Geordi to step on it in his best 1940s accent. They have not talked about Whalen at all.
Well, what's really grim is like where Riker and Picard have a little interaction like, Riker says, did you enjoy your vacation? And Picard says, it was a great place to visit, but I wouldn't want to die there.
Yeah.
Which, like, again, you did not clearly state if Whalen survived or not. Like, if one of your guys died and you make that joke, that's very inappropriate.
I'm kind of curious. So sometimes they, like, bring back characters in, like, the non-canon novels.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of curious if he was brought back. Let's see here. Whalen was played by, this is from the Memory Alpha Wikia. Whalen was played by David Selberg. Picard later called him a lit historian. Let's see here. No.
He's just in that episode. So let's just presume that he survived and got the F off the Enterprise and never went onto a holodeck again.
Like Picard, I'm going to assume that this is what happened. He survived. Picard never visited him, avoided eye contact with him in the hallways. In fact, maybe he caught Picard one time, strolling around the corner, saw him, locked eyes, turned around, went back in the turbo lift.
Yeah.
I think at that point, Picard was like horrified to even remember that ever happened. And so Whalen was like, I feel supremely ostracized on this ship. I am now kind of a pariah. I'm out of here. Because you never hear about him again.
What if Picard was just a straight up dick and was like, man, I feel bad that Whalen got shot in the stomach, but I don't want to deal with it, and just like low level transfer him off. Like
he got him out of there.
What's the place that we're never going to go as the Enterprise? What shitty outskirts of the universe space station am I never going to go to?
Yeah.
All right, I think that they need a 20th century lit historian.
Let's send him to Deep Space 11. He's out of here. Bye-bye, Whalen. Anyways, speaking of bye-bye, that's it for the show. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll be back next week with another episode of the Four Lights Podcast. Until then, we'll talk to you guys later.